If you rent an apartment in Texas, there's a good chance that your lease is based on the model written by the Texas Apartment Association. TAA leases have several key restrictive features that you need to know about.
First, the TAA lease has specific restrictions on how you can use your apartment, and if you use it in a way that's prohibited, you could be evicted.
For instance, most leases say you can only allow a guest, meaning someone who's not named on the lease, to stay in your apartment for a specific amount of time, normally just a handful of days. And if you let a guest stay longer, you could be evicted. The TAA lease also allows your landlord to ban any guest from the property.
The second big restriction is animals. You are not allowed to have a living creature of any kind in your apartment without your landlord's written permission, unless it's a service animal or a support animal protected by the Fair Housing Act, even temporarily. You can be evicted for having an unauthorized animal in your apartment. The landlord can even enter your apartment to remove a pet, though they must give you 24 hours notice before doing that.
The TAA lease also prohibits you from improving your apartment without the landlord's written consent. For instance, you cannot paint or wallpaper the walls. Finally, be careful about listening to managers or staff when they tell you that you can ignore parts of your lease. The TAA lease specifically says any promises that management makes to you about changing the terms of your lease are not binding unless those promises are made to you in writing.
The TAA lease requires you to be courteous with staff and other residents, even outside of your own actual property, around the general property. Acting in an uncourteous manner can be a breach of your lease. This is especially true for any behavior that is unlawful.
The TAA lease allows your landlord to enter your home without prior warning at reasonable times and for reasonable business purposes.
The TAA lease typically allows your landlord to apply payments to any amount that you owe them, however they want.
That means, for instance, if you have unpaid late fees from January and you try to pay your rent from February, the lease allows your landlord to subtract January's late fees from the payment for February, making your February payment deficient and subject to another round of late fees. With the TAA lease, you are not allowed to just move out when your lease term ends.
The lease requires that you give notice of intent to move out in advance, at least 30 days beforehand, but sometimes 60 days or even more. If you don't give a timely notice that you intend to move out at the end of your lease term, then your lease automatically renews on a month-to-month basis, and they can charge you early termination fees if you then try to leave at the end of your lease.
Both Texas law and the TAA lease prohibit you from subleasing your apartment to another person without your landlord's written permission.
If you move out before the end of your lease or without giving proper notice beforehand, then your landlord will charge you an early termination fee in addition to your rent.